Today on Trendmaker, we are going to answer the question, can you 3D print directly on the aluminum build plate? And that's coming up right now. I saw this question posted up on one of the 3D printing forums on Facebook, and the question basically was, can you 3D print directly onto the aluminum build sheet or build plate? And the answer is yes and no. And let me just tell you a little bit how this sort of came about for me. Okay, so I was prototyping a product for a client, and I've done several renditions of it. And it was a kind of a tricky print. It was long, it was tall, it had like arms, it had some sort of really obscure angles on it. And you know, he was sort of going through the model and changing the way the wording was and the some of these little openings. And I can't give too much detail about this. But the bottom line is, it was a tricky print. And each time I had done it, you know, he was asking for different things, and I sort of was I'm always trying to improve the profile. I see, oh, this is a little artifact here. Let me see if I can correct that as I'm doing something. And this was being done in PETG, and he wanted a third of it to be solid. The rest of it wasn't important, but he had sort of like these mounting arms, and he wanted to add a little more structure to that. So, okay, so I'm doing this print, and what happened was, I usually print with the CR10S Pro, and on here we have the factory, you have the textured build plate, and I'm not a big fan of this, and I don't really like it because it's actually a little too aggressive, I think, the texture here. And then you have this sort of build sheet that came with this printer new. And it's a nice surface, it works really well. But here's the thing, when you attach this to the bed, you're only able to really tape it down and attach it on the edges and not really in the middle. And what was happening was, it was actually because of the weird structure, and there's all these forces going on with the heat and in the printing, and it was actually bending the plate. But it wasn't sort of bending it like this, it was actually creating more of a wave. Where it was in the middle, it was curving this way and then curving down. And it wasn't noticeable until I actually removed it from the bed. It was only just a millimeter, but again, this is a prototype product. He needs it exactly as it's supposed to be. So I couldn't use this. Well, okay, well, what can I do? Well, you know, nice thing about this CR10S Pro is that you have the removable build sheet, because this is an induction sensor. You can't actually print on glass, which is my preference. I usually print on glass from all my printers except this one. And I don't like this surface. So I thought maybe I could do something on the back. And I wet sanded this down with 220 and 400 grit sandpaper, thinking maybe I can just build directly to this, because I had my settings so dialed in on this, I didn't want to switch printers. Okay, so I did it, and it failed. Okay, well, the thing is, when I'm printing on glass, I often use some sort of bed promoter, you know, hairspray, and mostly I use glue sticks. This is sort of my favorite of the glue sticks. I think it's just super fast and easy. So I tried with a little glue stick, and, you know, the purge line wouldn't stick, but as soon as it got to the glue stick, it actually was printing. Now, it wasn't perfect, it was sort of lifting a little. Okay, well, let me give it a second coat. So I did one way, and then I came back and did a coat the other way, reprinted, and you know what? It stuck extremely well. It actually printed excellent. The client was super happy. I was able to get it out to him fast. And the trick is, you've got to use some sort of bed promoter. The hairspray would work fine. This will work fine. If you get some like a bed bite or one of those things, that'll probably work fine. You probably need 2 coats. But you can print directly onto this build surface. And one of the things I'm going to do now is, my plan was, because I do like printing with smooth surface, I actually bought a PEI sheet, which is what I had ordered when that print initially failed, but it was going to take a couple days to get this, so I was kind of in a rush, and that's what sort of prompted me printing on this aluminum. But, and I've had that for a couple months now, and honestly, I'm pretty happy just printing on the aluminum, but I am going to do a video here in just a couple days here, and that's going to actually be putting the PEI sheet on the side. I'm actually going to redo this surface with something with a little less aggressive, and that way, when I want to use it, I can go smooth, or I can have textured, and that'll be really nice for this. That's it. So the answer is yes and no. You do need a bed promoter, but you can print directly to the aluminum build plate. I hope that you find this information helpful, and if you do me a favor, like and subscribe down below. It actually really motivates me every time I see that little bell go off and someone likes or subscribes to the channel. I lose my mind, and it gets me excited to print, or excuse me, to do another video. So thanks again, and until the next time, I'm out.